Hey everyone, how's it going?
Hi,
Happy daylight savings for those who observe.
Yes. It's like happy 3 weeks of confusion or whatever, right? 'Cause the US just did it and
Right,
it
right.
hasn't. Anyway, yeah, does anyone have any supply chain news while we kind of wait for folks to trickle in? I don't have any today, so we
I'm
can.
still recovering from last week's spicy news.
Yeah, no, last week was a big one, so yeah, I don't think I've seen anything to compete this week, so that's I guess good.
Yes.
Um, Great. And I guess the main thing we have today is to talk about the current draft of the dependency recipe card, which is it's really starting to come together. I was looking at it right before this, so that's very exciting. Here, I'll share my screen. Okay, should be the right screen. Okay. So I figure we can go through the remaining comments and then figure out what the next steps are. Um,
closed the comments that I considered I took care of, but if you guys think that it might have been premature, then we can reopen them as well.
okay, yeah, it's probably all right. Like, are we can find them in here somewhere, right? No, not there.
Yeah.
Mm,
Um,
It's like a way
we
to.
show them. Show all comments at the top next to the camera. What one? Yeah,
There it is. Thank you.
yeah.
See, okay, yeah, I guess we can do that just to make sure that we see everything. Um, so okay, well we can start here because this one looks like it was it's there's one suggestion to remove it and then another suggestion to add this link. Um,
No, I what I meant was if Evan thought that we should add this, but with like a short description
mhm.
as to how to use it, we could use that link, but it's not the necessary thing.
Okay, is that what this is?
The
Okay,
original link is simply the link to the repo, while the link that I added in the comment is more of a
yeah, like a how
walkthrough.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like the idea of a how to. Um, and I think we do call it like an extra step because I think the concern is that we're like putting too much
Mm.
here, if I'm remembering Evan's concern.
Yeah, because this is gonna go down a rabbit hole of like um a bit of provenance and a bit of things like that,
Yeah,
which may be like too much for the contents of CI dependency, but it is a valid way of like taking care of your dependencies and making sure that you have um uh, kind of attested that this is what should be used when you're building your
Yeah,
product.
I think I see the concern, but I kind of like having it as, again, we call it an extra step. Like,
Hmm.
you don't have to do everything perfectly the first time round, but it's nice to give people the links for when they have the chance to make stuff better. I would say we should
Okay.
probably keep it, but
Okay.
yeah,
I, I can
especially with the
definitely.
how-to guide, so that people can link out and like decide for themselves if that's what they
Mhm.
want. Where is the? I'm gonna resolve this one. So I think I changed the link in there. I think that should be good. And
Okay.
then not delete it. You make it like a
Oh, cool. Nice.
cool. Um, yeah, let's see. Um,
For this one, I kind of was. Wait, let me see which comment this was. Um, I didn't quite find that uh, we have what we need in that link because
yeah, maybe we can
mm,
just skip it if we're not seeing it there. Then
there's no particular control like we're
yeah,
saying here to find this or to pin dependencies. That was kind of
yeah, maybe
why.
they don't talk about it. Maybe they should, but that's a
Okay. Mhm.
separate project. Okay.
I didn't
Um,
understand what is X and Y controls?
oh, that was like that was like a placeholder. That was like the idea was we were gonna try and find the controls, and it looks like they don't exist. So
The idea was to say, does scorecard give you an exact check or score if you hadn't pinned your dependencies for the CI?
yeah, because
And I
maybe
did
that's a way to
find
Yeah,
help people
something that,
check if they've done it, right? Because if they've done
yeah,
scorecard, they can, yeah.
yeah. So on scorecard, I did find something that says if you pinned your dependencies for your product, you get a mark. But for the CI dependencies, I didn't find something specific for that. That's basically why.
Yeah.
I see. I can tell you as a scorecard user that you do.
Mm.
Oh, you
Uh,
You
do.
do have that?
yeah, I can pull up the open
Mm.
telemetry, some of the open telemetry scorecards. Um,
Undo that.
we've, I think we're pretty much pinned everyone, but if you go to this link and scroll down, there's a check for pinned dependencies specifically.
So the pin dependencies includes your CI ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you
Oh, okay.
open, if you expand that, it'll show info 12 out of 12 GitHub owned GitHub Actions dependencies pinned, 3 out of 3 third-party GitHub Actions dependencies pinned.
Mm.
And we could add a link there or something. But cool.
And it's pretty good. It even catches like things that pinned in within the workflows. Like if you're using some Python, something in, work GitHub action workflow, it'll complain if you haven't pinned that, which can be annoying, but is also correct.
Nice.
It does miss actions that then go and download another program, but I don't know how you'd catch that automatically.
We could make a note about that. I feel like I mean, I think it's still worth mentioning that they help, right?
Yeah.
If you have like a sentence where you can describe that, that's pretty fine. Okay, do we want to go into these ones here at all? The cooldown period and the scheduling, the grouping updates thing. Um, I do think the grouping updates at least is worth mentioning because it makes this a lot easier. Um, and it's not like more work, it just makes it easier. Um,
Yeah, we just went through some grouping in OpenTelemetry because people were starting to get annoyed by
yeah.
all the renovate updates and some of the especially lower volume um, repos. If you look at their Git history, it's just all dependable. I mean, all renovate updates. Um, I think part of it was my confusion about for patch. Like I had thought that we needed to do patch updates like I had scheduled it to do patch updates daily, thinking that's how we get security stuff. Um, but yeah, so but it will, as long as you have. And then I think I was confused because GitHub calls the feature Dependabot alerts. You have to have that turned on in order for Renovate to automatically send you security um, updates out of band.
Something. Is it, yeah, so then is there like a guide or any details that you found useful to figure that out?
Let me find a link.
Because it seems like there's a lot of like specific things that'd be nice to just link out to.
Yeah. Here in chat is the um, shows the vulnerability alerts. Where does it talk about? Let's see. Yeah, it says for this to work, you must enable dependency graph and dependabot alerts. And that's where I was confused before because I thought, oh, we're using Renovate. We don't need dependabot. And dependency graph is enabled but on all public repos, so that's not generally the problem. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay. I'll leave it for now and then. Yep.
cool.
Okay, so that seems like
Mm.
the grouping problem.
Yeah.
Um, what do you want to do about cooldown? Do you want to talk about that, or do you think it's out of scope? Like dependency, waiting a week before using it or whatever. I think if you're doing the PRs, it'll be at least a few hours before we manage to log in and click merge on the PR, but
But it might not get pulled back in that time.
yeah.
I think it's fine to mention it. I don't think it's urgent to mention it.
Yeah, that's
I
kind of
mean,
my thought too. I worry that we're going to confuse people with it here,
you,
but
you get a little bit of cooldown behavior by saying interval weekly,
yeah.
um, which isn't going
Well,
to be the same for all projects. Like that just gets spread out so that it happens about once a week.
it does seem like a good lazy cooldown at least. But you do it once a week, you get some cooldown on most things. Um, yeah, just especially given that there's kind of mixed advice on this. I think it's generally a good idea, but again, with the security patches, maybe less so.
Mm. True.
All right, I vote we cut it for this version, if that's okay. Allow a more nuanced discussion elsewhere. Because there's nothing here that stops you from doing it. So,
I'm okay with cutting it.
um, This one seems more controversial.
Yeah. I mean, I
It's
thought that the links below are the links that we needed for configuring the GitHub API settings for on the org side and on the repo side, but it doesn't seem to be enough.
So at the very least, I think if we're going to keep this, we should make the straightforward thing. Oops. Keep the straightforward things just in this bullet list. And then put this here so we can discuss it. Right, because these are like just pretty straightforward things you do. And then this is like a whole discussion. So anyway. And then there's the question of, yeah, if we want to keep this advice, what we want to say about it.
What does restrict access to secrets mean? Or what are we trying to say there?
That's a good question.
Is this just like label your secrets as secrets? Is that the
That you can set your secrets like at the workflow level, at the repo level, at the org level, something like that, and that would kind of restrict like where that secret can be accessed.
Can can you do it to a workflow?
That's what it says in this page. It,
Wait, no, it says secrets are not passed when a workflow is triggered from a forked repository. Um, Otherwise, they generally are. I don't know how you would restrict the.
oh, okay. My
Like,
bad.
if you
My
can
bad.
tell
My
me how
bad.
to restrict the access to secrets, I am going to be super excited, and I'm going
Yeah,
to
me too. That's why.
go and you know say a bunch of lovely things about you on LinkedIn and so forth. But I don't know how to do
No.
it. So, uh,
all right, so should we
uh,
cut that then?
Okay. Yeah. Definitely.
well, actually, we might rather than cutting it, we might want to say as a reminder, secrets are available to all workflows to most workflows by default. Using that same link.
Yeah.
And something about people with write permission to a repo. Um, I tend to think that they generally have access to the secrets, even though they don't technically, because they can push branches that run workflows, and so they could expose them.
Um, but what does that have to do with GitHub CI dependencies?
And this is a good point.
Um, I think secrets are available to the dependencies that you've picked is, excitingly relevant.
Now, remind me, are they accessible if you don't add them on the block? So the step
Yes,
that
I'm curious as to why they designed it that way, but
I don't know that it was totally on purpose. I think that there is a location somewhere where you can go and grab it, and it's not explicitly ackled off to you in a way where root can't get at it, which is what the actions are running as, effectively.
so they can get access to GitHub token,
Yeah.
but can they get access to other secrets?
Um,
Because GitHub token is available through, you don't have to go through secrets. There's
it's
that
an
other,
end bar that's always set, and yes. Um, I believe so. I would need to dig out how to do it though.
So what you're saying is if you haven't added a with secret to your step or
Yeah.
the secret in an env, you still can access that secret.
I'm not
Like
sure. I know you can still access the GitHub token though, which is
yeah,
very relevant.
yeah. But the other secrets, like imagine I have a secret to access my container registry in the repo, and I have a step that does, I don't know, end-to-end testing something, and it's relying on some messy CI dependency that's completely vulnerable. Can they grab my registry token? Even if my step doesn't say with registry token or nvar registry token.
I
I
don't
feel
think
like
so.
I have seen people doing that in
Yeah.
exploits, but I haven't dug into how.
Ah, you've seen that happen.
You know
Excellent.
what I did? You know what I did in a uh, exploit to get access to such a thing is if your action runs earlier than
Mhm.
somebody is, and then you have something that is accessing a token, a secret later, if your action can like you can overwrite the get command, and then when the later step runs get, then you can steal that secret because it's in context.
Or, you can poison Node or Bash in the same way.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Interesting. But it still has to
Point
be pulled in
taken.
somewhere, right?
right. It's just can be very confusing that it doesn't necessarily have to be in the block that your action runs, that you could then, yeah, poison something to get access to it in a later step.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to say this where it's like if we should talk about this being like in attack scenarios or if this is like an actual they're always available. It feels like it's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the by default actually, because then and maybe we can also link to
The
some case
GitHub
with
token, yeah, it is probably worth saying, might be worth saying that the GitHub token is available. Bless you.
thank you. Okay, so make a note that we can add let's try to find a couple more links here. Um
Yeah, I feel like I have seen that happen in exploit chains, but I can't see any documentation that explains how that could happen.
yeah, I think at the very least we could link to one of those exploit chains, right? And just say like note that this is a thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this article, this particular page about the secrets, I think the whole problem is that it's a little bit confusing, right? The GitHub documentation here. So maybe we should find something outside of GitHub that I don't know says something.
Mhm.
If it doesn't exist, also we can write this stuff up too. But I'm sure we aren't the first people to think about GitHub secrets. So
No.
okay, and then back to this one. What do we want to include this advice? Is there enough nuance here? What's the maybe we can say something like about like for
Do we know if any CNCF projects are doing this?
that's a great question.
Well, yeah, I'm cautious about that advice because it's one extra thing that you have to manage when you're managing your CI. And I can explain why it's a security best practice, but I can also tell you that that is not something that I have turned on for basically any of the repos that I deal with.
I feel like it works better maybe in like a more centralized org or something. But
the org
yeah, I
is
don't know, we would
smaller. Yeah.
struggle with kind of the decentralized
A more
OSS.
org is potentially going to say, hey, this is worth it.
I'm actually
Because
curious to do this.
it protects you against typos and things like that.
And you can assign somebody to do the horrible work of keeping that up to date.
I mean, yeah, and I would probably use like Terraform or something like that, but um, yeah, it's still work.
Oh wait, do we think it's maybe too far for this particular guide? Because then it's
Yeah,
also it's tricky because it's not.
yeah, I would include it in the recipe.
Yeah, it's the other thing is it's not really something a maintainer can actually do themselves all of the time. Depending on again the complexity of the org they happen to be in.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably know the person who can do it, but that's. Okay. Maybe we can. We probably don't want an appendix for this or anything like that. We can just cut it from this guide.
Uh, okay, I now know what I saw, and it's different.
Are you referring to
Um,
the secrets thing or this thing?
the secrets thing.
Yeah.
Um, if you can get access to the GitHub runner, the GitHub runner gets all the secrets.
Oh.
So if you're using a self-hosted runner, for example,
Oh,
Okay. So secrets. Oh, secrets.
which is probably not, yeah.
does last week's blog post can serve as a like an example of or of the exploits that we wanted?
Yeah, because I think secrets being available to the runner. It's really I guess it's mostly like a just defense in depth thing. It's like
Yeah, I'm inclined to take that out and say the GitHub token is available.
okay. Yeah, and the secrets thing seems like if you're using GitHub hosted runners, they would have to have a bug, right, for that to be a problem.
Yeah,
And then at that point, it's not your bug, so I don't know.
yeah.
There's still things you can do, but Okay. I think we try to make easy to follow advice for open source maintainers, not like this is how you prevent a nation state from taking over your project. So like that would be a different guide.
Yeah. Um,
So this seems like the base level. I think probably that probably applies to this as well, where this is probably a good idea, but maybe too much for, the average CNCF project maintainer to worry.
yeah. Um, are we producing a recipe?
What do you mean?
So
Is it
we
step
said this
by
was a
step
recipe card.
what to do?
Yeah. If I follow the instructions, do I get a cake? Or do I learn a lot about how cakes, the chemistry of cakes and the various ingredients that get used? Sorry,
That's a good question. I mean, we have the checklist at the top.
we do.
And I do think I think we could frame it differently to be more hands-on, but like we do have like, install this, we have do this. The tricky thing is that some of it isn't one time. Like verify your dependencies. You can do I mean you can do that today with the ones you have today, but that's not really the long term.
But maybe the recipe is do this today and set up a process to do this stuff, on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis or whatever. Or put these tools in place that will do it for you continuously.
Okay.
Um, that section you just crossed out
Yeah.
might go well up in the evaluate before using section.
Oh, I actually okay, yeah. So this is like an option to make this easier.
To force you to do evaluate before using.
Okay. Um, maybe for like additional like assurance that this is happening. That's not a very good sentence. Enforcement maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say to enforce this process or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. And then we can change that last sentence. Um, Actions like anywhere in the org, I think is the tricky thing here. Um,
Yeah.
okay. We'll leave this for now, and if we get more people who think it's too complicated, we can always revisit. Um, okay, so what are the next steps? I think we have one link here missing. I don't think that's a blocker. Given that KubeCon is, I think, 2 weeks out, I don't think that we want to send this for external review till after KubeCon, just so we get people's attention. I worry that if we send it now, it'll just get lost in the chaos. So if we can spend the next week or so polishing. If we want to focus more on like making it a to-do list, maybe we can work on that framing this week before we send it out. And then we can just like basically next week make sure it's ready to send so that after KubeCon we can actually start getting more eyes on it. We could send it to the like broader, like at least within tag security. I just like, for example, TOC review would never happen, I think, this close to KubeCon. So, and if we have like individual people that maybe would have some good feedback, maybe we can try and do a soft review as well. Any thoughts there? Do we think it's in good shape? Do you want to do another pass before we start sharing?
I mean, I feel like we're getting close to the point where it's worth getting like the interested security people involved in looking at it and saying, yeah, this makes sense, or what are you talking about?
Okay. Yeah, maybe
Or
we
here's
can.
a resource that you should include.
Yeah, okay. Here's my new thought. So yeah, I think that setting up for a broader review might get lost in the noise, but I think if we talk to like individual folks who we know are knowledgeable in this space for an early pass, we can maybe do that the next week or so and then send it out more broadly post KubeCon. Does that seem feasible?
Yeah, I think so. To
Okay.
me.
And
Sounds
worst case,
good.
we don't get hits on that, but yeah. Very cool. We have time, but we don't need to use it. If anyone has any other things they want to discuss here. If not, have a lovely rest of your week. Hopefully you all get to recover from the lost hour of sleep, and see you all next time.
Bye.
Right?